Ask Reddit. What strange habits have you picked up from your line of work? I used to work as a guide in a zoo aviary, and I got attuned to all the bird songs. Now I can't turn it off. Watching a movie, I start picking out the bird noises in the background. In a rainforest scene, for instance, I'll notice a screaming pia, a macaw, and a robin. What the hell is an American robin doing in the Amazon? It's really jarring. Either movie sound mixers need to step up their game, or I need to calm down. Movie sound mixers need to step up. According to the movies, every bloody train in the world has the same honk wave horn sound that came with Windows 95 and sounds like an Amtrak diesel. I also check both ways at all level crossings, seeing too many short warnings to be comfortable. On my first morning as an apprentice plumber, I was sent into a loft to turn off a valve. The loft was full of cobwebs and they got all in my long hair. Went and bought a cap during my lunch break. I wore a cap every day at work since. 9 years of wearing a cap later, I simply do not feel like I'm a plumber without my hat. I'll have to put it on just to change a tap washer at home. I've got this great mental image of the pipe for the sink exploding and flooding your kitchen with water and your wife screaming, "Turn the water off!" and you're running from room to room screaming, "I can't! I need my hat!" Three-way communication. I'm a senior reactor operator, and just about everything that gets said in the control room goes like this. Me. Bob, raise reactor power with flow to maintain the power profile. Bob. Understand. Raise reactor power with flow to maintain the power profile. Me. That's correct. That's fine for work, but then I'm at home. Wife. I'm going to the store to pick up some groceries. Me. Understand you're going to the store to pick up groceries. Wife then looks at me and goes, "There's something very, very wrong with you." I do that. It irks me when they don't respond. Repeats until response. Worked in a preschool. Found myself asking others if they washed their hands after they left the bathroom. In my adult office environment, I think it would be perfectly acceptable and understandable to do this there as well. I swear nobody ever seems to do it. I will literally watch a person turn the sink on, turn it right back off, and walk out as if they had done what they were supposed to do. I'm a maintenance electrician. Anytime I go anywhere, I always catch myself looking at the lighting to see how many globes have blown. Same, but for faceplates, to see if they are level and if the screws are matching. I work in childcare. Obviously, it's important to know how many kids you have at any given time, so at work I'm constantly head counting. It's kind of a weird skill to have, but having done it literally thousands of times now, I can do it very efficiently, even with large groups of non-stationary people. Because I do this almost unconsciously at work, I constantly find myself doing it in the real world, such as when sitting having a coffee in a cafe or at a party. It's actually come in handy more than a few times, because if you've ever been with a large group of friends, it's not easy not to notice if someone goes missing. Not when I'm around. Also childcare, and I head count too. I also tend to give disappointed teacher face to adults who are acting up or being dumb. Oddly enough, they often stop the behavior without me having to say anything. In the theater, it's not unusual to call out noise before you purposely make a loud noise to let people know you aren't hurt. I do that at home and in my current job in IT broadcast engineering all the time. Another theater thing is to say thank you when someone gives a group of people a message, like 5 minutes to places, so sometimes I'll say thank you when people say things. Thank you, 5. I also no longer move my stuff in, out of apartments. It's just become load in or out. At a party with a bunch of mostly ex-theater people on New Year's Eve, someone going to smoke said, "Back in 5, and almost the entire table responded, "Thank you, 5. It made me miss theater like crazy. Delivery driver here. I don't trust other drivers at all, ever, period. I don't make enough money to cover an accident. I see horrible drivers every day. If I see you coming a few blocks away with your turn signal on, and I could easily get ahead of you logically, I won't do it until you start your turn because you're a moron and that signal is accidental. I am the same. I assume every other driver is an idiot or actively out to get me. Restaurant manager. I have to stop myself from greeting, thanking people, walking into, leaving businesses that aren't my restaurant. Quite embarrassing on the rare occasion I don't catch myself. But I guess I just look super friendly. Or insane. LOL, I always feel like I have to say goodbye to my server. Used to work as a prison guard almost 20 years ago. To this day, my hearing focus is about 3 feet behind me when walking around, meaning you become hyper aware of anything going on behind your back. My husband works in corrections. He is the same, also has very good peripheral vision, and when we're out, he immediately checks for the quickest exit and usually positions himself with his back to the wall. I don't think it will ever leave him. My manufacturing job is really safety conscious. Gotta wear gloves for everything. Nitrile gloves while I'm cleaning, cut-resistant gloves for basically anything else. Now, when I'm working around the house, I don't feel right without a pair of gloves. Healthcare worker, same thing. When I had my son, it really felt wrong to change his diaper without gloves on. I work on a psychiatric unit, and I've picked up a few tendencies. Most notably, whenever I hear a loud, sudden noise, I immediately jump into fight or flight mode. While this may sound like a normal behavior, I am extremely distressed by this. I must look like a startled rodent quickly scanning the area for danger. I've been put in headlocks, punched in the face, choked, and given a mild concussion in the 2 years I've worked there. It can get intense. Even if this comment instantly gets buried, I had to comment on this. All the stress I feel at work is really taking a toll on me, and I don't know how much more I can take. As someone who has had to spend time in a psych unit, thank you so much for putting up. You people are amazing, and I will never forget how much I was helped in the unit I stayed in. Never forget that while you may have had some bad experiences, you may also have changed lives for the better. Thank you for your service. The world would be a much scarier place without people like you. I'm a paralegal, so around attorneys all day long. I've learned to never admit to anything. Use the phrase, "It appears as though that car ran a red light," instead of "that car ran a red light." It leaves a little doubt in your statements, and you're not outright accusing anyone of anything or admitting to anything either. I was a journalist. I still use allegedly and accused of whenever I talk about someone doing something. Molecular biologist. I never smell anything directly anymore. I always waft the smell towards my nose with my hand. I always label every food and/or beverage container with the date it was opened. I never leave anything uncapped for any length of time. The lid is always immediately replaced, even if I'm using it 10 seconds later. I've got great sterile technique, but now I've become a super neurotic cook. After working in the restaurant business throughout high school and college, there was a period of time I caught myself saying, "corner," anytime I went around a corner in a crowded place. That and "behind you" comes in handy. I tend to touch my coworkers' backs and say, "behind you." I started doing this out of habit every time I'm walking behind someone in a crowded area. A lot of awkward looks. Computer engineer working as a software div. Pressing Ctrl plus S all the time. No, I do not want to save this web page. I have a terrible habit of using WQ, which works for Vim, but when I'm using editors which doesn't have modes, I end up with so many WQs in my Word documents, text files, and sometimes code written through IDE. I once used WQ on Reddit. I typed exit in a browser address bar the other week. Surprisingly, it did not close the tab, as I had intended. I'm a cook. I always sneeze when bending over as deep as I can, so I don't contaminate any dishes or food. I always have powerful screaming sneezes. The combination of these gives me the most theatrical sneezes in the world. Same boat, cake decorator with very high-pitched squeaky sneezes, so I turn and bend to sneeze, usually aiming for my armpit area. With my hands up in the air in front of me, I look dumb outside of work. I work with mentally disabled adults, and sometimes I forget I can't talk to normal people like they're 5. Geropsych, mostly dementia. Similar answer here. Also, apparently, after working a few shifts, I'll be shouting at home and not realize it because that's my normal voice at work. I have to talk loud for my patients to hear me. I was a casino dealer. I would never give or take cash directly from people's hands. I have also said no more bets to several people in shops, on buses, etc. I have even said it in my sleep. Also a casino person. Touch something, clear your hands, and wishing damn near everyone good luck. When looking both ways at an intersection, I sometimes look up as well. Airport operations. Lots of time driving on an airfield. A possible true story I heard was a 747 pilot driving home tired after a really long flight. A car pulled out in front of him, and he tried to pull the steering wheel back to go over him. Didn't work. I worked at a high-end wine and liquor store. I smell every beverage now before I drink it, including water. Also, when I grab an item at a store, I sometimes pull the next one forward to make it look nice on the shelf. I worked as a stalker for a year about 20 years ago. I still face products when shopping. When I'm driving and someone does something stupid, I accelerate to catch up to them and reach to turn my lights and sirens on, then realize I'm not in my cop car. My friends make fun of me at bars and public places because I'm always scanning and looking around at people. On more than one occasion, I've opened the car door for my girlfriend, guiding her into the car with my hand and said, "Watch your head." It's hard to get in a car with handcuffs on. I always guide the person in and make sure they don't slam their head. Honestly, I've always appreciated that from cop family members because I always hit my stupid head on the car. I muck out stables and such for a living. During the winter, everything gets incredibly muddy, so to save my jeans, I usually roll them up to the middle of my shins. A lot of times I forget to put them back down and end up going grocery shopping or something. Have gotten a few remarks about being a hipster or how trendy my capris are. Not quite the same, but I work 2 jobs. One is at a greenhouse, the other is waiting tables at a cocktail bar. I have worked at the greenhouse for over a decade, so it's just a force of habit for me to put on rubber boots when leaving the house to go to work. I now keep a spare pair of shoes at the bar because of all times I have shown up to work wearing rubber boots featuring a oh-so-trendy print of vegetables. They are also usually crusted with mud. I'm a martial arts instructor. Occasionally, when I'm not thinking, I bow and I walk in and out of buildings and sometimes to people when I meet or thank them. I'm sure I look freaky. Might look freaky, but if a stranger bowed to me out of nowhere, it would make my day. Clothing retail. Every time I shop, no mess. Nothing hits the floor and I fold any stacks I need to sift through. I try to make it look like I wasn't even there. Eye contact and smiling with people who get close to me, as if I'm about to check on their shopping experience. Then the, "Do you work here?" "No, sorry." I got this all the time in stores I used to work at. I'll carry myself like an employee and mindlessly face products while I'm looking for something, and people ask me for help all the time.